Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Cicero Planning Board meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ashley, would you lead us off, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 19th. Any questions or comments? Do we have a motion to approve?
Will they be approved as printed?
Second.
Mr. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Abbey,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Bloss.
Yes.
And I vote yes, minutes have been approved. Now we'll open the meeting to public comment. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the board on any active application, you may do so now. Given nobody's approach, we'll close the public input and move on to the first agenda item. And this is for Centerpoint Integrated Solutions for our CarMax on Frontage Road. The applicant's here. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Brian Pulsifer. I'm with CarMax's Design and Development Group out of Richmond, Virginia. Our address is 12800 Tuckahoe Creek Parkway, Richmond 23238. Just a quick overview. I'm not sure how familiar you are with CarMax, but we're the nation's largest retailer of used vehicles. Any customer can access our online database with over 50,000 used vehicles. We have over 230 retail locations nationwide. Our Fortune 500 company. Last year we sold about 1.4 million units between our retail and wholesale businesses. And this is a really exciting opportunity for us. We are not in this market currently, and this is a great real estate opportunity came up, and we've been looking in this market for years. And this is a key piece of infrastructure for our retail business that will really connect the northern portion of New York State. Currently, we have our closest locations are in Albany, Rochester, and Buffalo. So this is a great midpoint between those retail locations. So this is an exciting opportunity for us, and we're happy to be here and happy to answer any questions. And I'll also bring up Brad Loth with Centerpoint, who's part of the team, to talk a little bit more about the site details.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So it looks like you have our site plan up on the screen here. So I will walk you through kind of the development. So we are right on the intersection of Circle Drive and Frontage Road across from the Auto Mall. So this is going to be a development that's currently in place of that the vacant bank building, and also some grassy area that then goes into the existing parking lot of the Ollie's Shopping Center. Trampoline park is there, those kind of uses. So right now we're in a process where we'll subdivide this property and purchase what you see on the screen. If you go out there today, this property line actually does go into the first couple rows of parking in the shopping center as well. So looking at the site, the CarMax site is broken down into three main parking areas. So up on Circle Drive is the sales display area. So that's all of the inventory, 100% stored outside.
You want a pointer?
We also have some boards if you guys would like us to put those up. Okay. What am I using here?
Move your finger.
Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, here we go. This sales display area right here. So that is the full inventory. Everything that's for sale is out on that lot. And it's fully secured as far as the customers that come into the store can only access that by foot. So they cannot drive in that lot. That's what kind of differentiates this layout from a standard new car dealership where you can, the inventory is mixed in with the customer parking. This is completely separate. It's surrounded by a guardrail system, which you won't be able to see, but the line work here is an actual galvanized guardrail system. It's for security purposes because all of the keys are kind of in lock boxes right on the vehicle. It makes for kind of the experience of CarMax, where you walk into and are greeted by an associate in the sales facility, walk out onto the lot, and then you're free to roam. And if you want to take it for a test drive, the keys are right there. They drive it through the security gate and you're free to take the vehicle right then and there. So the gate here is the test drive gate. So it's a security gate that will have a Knox box for emergencies for the fire department. And then they will leave right out of this new entrance point, which pretty much lines up with the entrance that's there today. So the entrance that's there today comes off of Frontage Road and goes straight through into the shopping center. That will now just be access to the customer lot and then access into the test drive gate. So that's a little bit about the sales display. The other area is the customer employee parking. So this is the only publicly accessible space as far as if you're driving to the store. It's a little bit split with the layout of the site. So you have an area back here and an area in front of the site or in front of the store. And then we have it kind of, there's some more parking. Again, the site's a little small as far as the acreage that we would typically do for a retail store, but with what's available, this is we're making it work. And then we have the truck loading and unloading area right here. So all of the car carriers that are bringing vehicles to and from the site will be unloading and loading on site. So there won't be any backing up on Frontage Road or Circle Drive. It's all housed on site. And then we have the third area, which is kind of the back of house. We call it the sales staging area. And that's surrounded by a 6-foot high masonry wall. Again, for security purposes, the public isn't really allowed back in this area. There's no reason for them to be back there. It's just kind of housing vehicles until they're ready to be put out onto the sales display, or if they're being sold, can go through that area. And then we have the building on the main, the middle of the site here. We have the sales building. So that's where all of the associates work, where you do your transactions. We have a minor service bay here that has 3 service doors. So that's going to be kind of routine maintenance, tire rotations, oil changes, no major engine work or body work done at this facility. And that's really just to kind of get the cars ready to be sold out onto the inventory lot. And then right in the middle is a presentation lane. So that's more of a drive-through. It's not really it's part of the structure, but it's not a building. You drive through that. If you purchase a vehicle, they'll bring it through, and that's secured by another security gate right here. So 2 security gates on site. So that's the general layout of the site. Before I get into some of the other details of what we're asking for today, is there any questions about the general layout or operation?
We'll go through and ask the board. Mr. Duval, any questions?
The existing build, the old bank building,
Yes,
that's going away. That's going to be taken down.
correct. Yep, that will be demolished.
Okay. And you mentioned grassy area.
Yeah, so existing today, it's really just a grassy area in between Frontage Road and the shopping center up here. Just kind of unused area
Do
currently
we
grass.
have any landscaping or anything? Or?
So in the customer employee lot, we'll have some terminal landscape islands. There'll be a landscape strip along the front, and I do believe part of our application had a landscape plan. Okay, yeah, so maybe one more. Okay.
The grassy area you were referring to is going away.
It's existing, yes, sorry. And there will be this area here is actually going to remain grass there. And this is the proposed landscape plan. So we're proposing some additional trees along Frontage Road, along the separation between the CarMax and the shopping center. There's some proposed trees. There's landscape islands within the customer area. And then this is a kind of a grassy area back here. The one thing we typically ask for is to not have any landscaping or large trees in and around the sales display. And that's mainly for a couple things: maintenance of the vehicles. Again, that is the inventory. That's what's for sale. So trying to protect that from debris and, nesting birds and things like that. We try not to have a bunch of landscaping in the sales. And then just for visibility purposes along Circle Drive, trying to get that visibility into the sales display. We're not showing as much landscaping up there.
Okay. The traffic flow, will it Yeah, as far as the parking lot goes, will that remain the same? Like, will you share the entrance with the rest of the?
So if
Tenants
you
or-
flip back to the first sheet that we were on, it might show it. So the one thing that has been part of the deal since, yeah, you can actually see it just up here. Oh, if you could keep it where it was. Yeah. So right here, we're proposing a new entrance on Circle Drive. Currently, there is no access from Circle Drive directly into this development. So we see that as a benefit to this property, being able to access directly from this road. But once the CarMax is here, this is a fully self-sustained site. The shared access point will be down here for the truck traffic, comes out of that southern entrance. But now all of the traffic coming into the center will be through this point, and then there's also another entrance even further to the south. So there's 3 access points into the remaining development. And the one thing that we do want to talk about today and get some feedback on is this entrance. You have the traffic study with you. I know you just probably got it today or yesterday. But once you have time to digest that, the owner of the remaining development would like to see this as a full service entrance. The traffic study shows that it meets all the requirements for passenger vehicles to make left turns out of the shopping center, but not box trucks or larger. So that's all in the traffic study that you have.
Okay, that's all I have for right now.
Okay.
I would say on that entrance to Circle Drive, there has been some concern raised by the highway department. And I think the traffic study shows a level D, right?
Yes, I believe
So
so.
there is, we're gonna have to work through this one, that there is some concern with that. And I know Mark's had a chance to look at the traffic study with it. Maybe he can speak to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I took a quick run through it and yeah, it does show a level of service D for left turning vehicles and an issue with sight distance relative to box trucks, as he said. But again, I think the highway department's feeling is they prefer not to see the curb cut onto East Circle Drive there. As we all know, that's pretty busy. There's a curve there. Yeah, if it were to be allowed, you'd have to look at the striping and the layout of the road, East Circle Drive itself. So all in all, I think we got to consider whether that's something that the board is going to want to have.
So there are definitely some concerns that we would have to work through.
Sure.
If it's allowed.
Yep, understood. And you're saying there's concerns with having it at all?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, definitely something we want to work through. The seller of the property, who's also the property owner of the remaining shopping center, has some significant concerns with that. We would want to just make sure that we, if there is a solution there, we're open to any and all options. So if that's something that we need to, if we could set up a meeting with you or.
Again, I just don't know. I mean, you're showing a pretty generic layout for it here too. I mean, so I don't know how you really would make that work with the parking and everything adjacent to it.
So we did locate the entrance so that it lines up directly.
Yeah,
in line with the.
but you've got parking either side of it too.
Right.
Which you probably would want to get rid of that row of parking or something, at least for some distance there. You don't really have much stacking distance. And again, I mean, the highway department again is indicated they prefer not to have. And again, East Circle Drive is a very busy road. We're trying to limit the number of curb cuts out there. This parcel does have other access to public highways. So all in all, I'd say that that's probably not something that we would want to consider.
Okay.
Mr. Abbey?
Not being totally familiar with CarMax, you deal only with used vehicles,
That's correct. Yes.
cars, SUVs, pickups.
All kinds of, all different types of vehicles. But yes, all used cars.
Okay, but not including box trucks and. things like that.
No commercial vehicles, all personal vehicles.
And how many vehicles do you anticipate having on your lot at a average timing?
So the sales display, hopefully will be full 100% of the time.
Okay,
And then we have enough customer employee spaces to, and that's kind of based off the number of stores around the country, just on this size of site and the market. I forget the exact number, but it should be around like 60 spaces.
okay.
And that would be enough to house the amount of customers and employees that we'd expect at any given time. But as far as the sales display, hopefully it's always full.
That's the plan. And you mentioned you wouldn't be doing major repair work, just oil changes and such.
Correct. Minor
Mhm.
service, and that's housed in those bays. And
Of
that-
course, you're aware of, all the treatment required for that type of business.
Yes, yeah, we have an oil water separator that's connected straight from that service bay before entering the sanitary system.
And the entrance that's further down on frontage will remain
Yes,
close to South Bay Road.
yes,
closer.
there's one all the way up here that's going to remain.
Okay,
And then this one is going to be added. And this one is going to be basically reused almost in the same location as it is today.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Snyder.
I guess I'd have to be more informed what the highway is concerned about. If the only way we can get into that plaza is off frontage road way down at Get Air or whatever it is, it's at the end of that plaza. I think that's a problem. I'm sure we could, up where Malt is, I would think we could turn that area with control of parking and eliminate parking. I would hope we could somehow, with the highway department, get that to be a acceptable entrance. There's a lot of people that use that plaza.
Right.
Of course, if you're like me, you go into Ollie's, you need nothing, and you come out with $100 bill. So, there's a lot of people that go into Ollie's that don't need to buy anything. And the mall's pretty busy, especially on the weekends. The row of cars that are on just outside your property, as a note on, I didn't notice that when I was looking at the drawings, those are parking for the plaza.
Yes, this is basically showing some restriping, because once we take this property line into, I think it's 2 or 3 spaces into the existing parking, then we're basically creating a new drive lane here and then restriping some head-in parking just to kind of reconfigure that back area. Because if you just put the property line, then it would be a bunch of rows dead ending into the CarMax property. So we kind of reconfigured that and restriped it just around that back area.
I guess if I saw the full-size drawing, I'm wondering if at where that line is in front of the parking that you just talked about, if we could have an entrance onto frontage at that point. I don't know how far it is from there to one that's existing, so I really can't speak to that. I think the fact that you've taken care of a place for your trucks to drop off and pick up, I think that's an excellent idea. I'm concerned you show a underground drainage pond. I'll wait till Mark gets done looking at all that, but I just I can't conceive that size area next to the employee parking area is big enough to hold the runoff from that big site.
Yeah, we're proposing fully underground detention on this site.
But I only saw the one that was at that end. Are you showing it underground drainage by the display lot too?
No, it's all down here. But it doesn't, it's not just contained in the grassy area. It kind of extends into the parking, but it's fully underground, so you wouldn't see it from here. So the parking is somewhat over it and somewhat in the grassy area, but it's sized appropriately to handle the detention for the site.
Don't worry, our engineer checks that very clear, very clear.
We do have our civil engineer here with us today as well, if there's any technical questions. One more thing I wanted to bring up is, well, I'm sorry, I'll let
Done.
Mr. Boss go as well.
Mr. Bloss.
I got one question again on the fence between CarMax's property and where you got all the row of cars along there. What did you say that fence is gonna be?
So there's a
Greatest-
couple different, along this back line, there's a couple different things happening. So if you're at the sales display, there will be a guardrail. So it's a 27-inch, kind of what you'd see on the side of the road, and that's for security purposes. I actually also believe there's a ornamental fence, so about 4 foot high right here. And that's just to deter people from walking directly from the shopping center into the sales. So there's going to be a 4 foot high fence up to this point right here. From this point, this is a 6 foot high masonry wall. So CMU block
Masonry
wall.
wall?
Yep. 6 foot high. So block wall. It'll be painted to match the architecture of the building, which is kind of like an earth tone tan color. But that's standard for the CarMax model here, is that we have the security around the staging area. It's for screening purposes. It's like, again, a back of house. It's a bunch of storage of vehicles that's moving around on a daily basis. The associates, the service, workers are back there. So it's kind of just a screening from the public, also security.
There's your
Here's the elevations of the site here. So
You're getting in the right spot, looking from the back. is
one,
here.
one of the walls would be looking like that, but, oh, well,
Yeah, and this is looking from the back as well, the back entrances, right?
right. So from this view, you'd kind of be looking through the wall, so it's not shown, but the wall would start right there and kind of go across there. Yeah, there you go.
I'm all set.
Okay,
So for the 6 foot wall, that's a big wall, right?
right, yeah.
I think we'll want to see some detail on that, what it's going to look like.
Okay.
Where is it on that picture?
Yeah, let me,
It looks like you got it fairly well landscaped.
this is about what it's kind of extent of the building. It has a tab on it. 6 foot tall. But it's basically a block wall. And you're only gonna see it for.
Can you grab the mic?
You're trying to hide the back room.
I
Yeah,
get it.
so,
right?
yeah, we're just trying to hide the back area. Can never find this thing. Here we go. Yeah, so just from this area right here, you would see it from the parking area, and then you would also see it coming down this way as well. It is it's a decorative wall. It matches the architecture of the building.
So if we can see that, if you can bring up, a visual of what it would look like, that would be helpful.
Okay. And if you remember the landscape plan we had up there, there's trees that line this whole side of the
Right.
building as well. So it would be screened with some landscaping as well.
Mrs. Hogan.
Yes. So my big concern is the entrance. As Mr. Snyder was saying, this gets very busy. There's only Modern Malt listed here, but I know that there's 6 businesses here. There's actually the karate that's around the corner. There's Modern Malt. There's Blaze Gymnastics, which gets very, very busy. Ollie's. There's that little gym
Mhm.
where they like to do stuff outside even. And then there's the trampoline park. So it's a big deal to figure out the enter in and the enter out. I know most people in those last 4 businesses use the entrance that you're now taking away from the rest of those businesses. So that's actually a much bigger deal than I think what we're making it. So I don't know if maybe this entrance that is now the only entrance with your plan to get into those other businesses is actually pretty narrow and kind of dangerous anyway. So when I use that one, I'm always a little nervous because cars coming out of it can't really see, and we don't really know which side you're going to go on. It's not marked. So some work would probably need to be done to the entrance, especially if it's going to be the only one, but I don't know how safe that would be. Again, I agree with the board that it's a little dangerous to have the entrance be on Circle Drive. So I don't know if that's the solution, but I know that is a huge concern. In terms of landscaping, I'm a big fan of more trees. So if we could somehow, I know that it's a small space, but I know that there's a few other that are a fan of native trees as well. So if we could somehow fit in more of those, I know that you're worried about your sales area, but in terms of lighting, I'm just wondering what you're gonna do in terms of lighting, not only inside, like where your sales plan is, but maybe outside of those walls. My concern is that if you have all this lit up on the inside of where CarMax is gonna be, the current parking lot is not very well lit. I don't think that it's lit well enough. And I know that there's been some issues with that parking lot in terms of safety. So my concern is that if you just have all the lighting like right in on your cars, and then you have that all blocked off with the wall, when you're in the other parking lot, you're going to feel very like enclosed, almost like a claustrophobic type feeling, like, how do I get out of this area from the other buildings? And then I think that was it. Yeah. And
Okay.
the rest of the stuff is just the entry in and the entry out.
Okay.
I think that's
So I can start with lighting because I think I can answer that
Okay.
pretty quickly. So the light poles are throughout the site. They are brighter in the display area, but they are fully encompassing the whole site. And the wall is, again, only 6 feet tall. The light poles are 26 feet tall. So they go well above the wall. And I mean, usually we run into restrictions for property light and light spillage. And so they will be, and I do have a lighting plan, not with me today, but I can share that. That shows the photometrics around the site. They are higher in the sales display, but there's no dark spots on the site. And just back behind the wall. So on this area here, you know, there's nothing going to be shining down into that lot. Just, that's not typically something that we would do, but I mean, if that's something that needs to be done, then we could certainly look at that, maybe adding a head to point that direction if the security is an issue with the remaining development. But right now we have light poles that line this area and shine down into all parts of the site. So it is a fully lit up site to a safety level. And they will be on all at there's a security level lighting as well. So after hours.
Okay. And then is there only one entry in and out for you guys then? Is the current one? Is that the only way to get in and out of just your site?
So there's this point here,
Right.
and then there's this point here.
Oh, okay. So you are creating.
This is a
Other one?
connection into the adjacent shopping center. And then so the exit point is all the way out here. So really there's 2 points into the CarMax site.
And is that a new one? Sorry.
Yes.
The one right on the corner.
This one
new.
is new.
Okay.
This one is new-ish. It's almost exactly
Right,
in
the
the
one
same
that's
location.
there.
Yeah.
So then there is another way out. So then the only entry in and entry out for all the other 6 businesses. Is what you're
So
saying. You're kind
here
of going to be
and-
directing some of the traffic over there. Like, are the trucks going to be using that area too, is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, the trucks will come in and leave out this way.
Yeah. So my concern is that is one entry in, entry out for not only the 6 businesses, but also your very large trucks, which I just think is a huge safety concern with this plan. But
Yeah, and that's
That's
why
fine.
we were proposing
Yeah.
the other entrance onto Circle Drive and trying to come to a solution there for the remaining development.
okay. And then is there any plan to add, what was the reasoning for no landscaping on Circle Drive? I noticed in your plan, you had it kind of sprinkled throughout, but nothing on Circle Drive.
Yeah, so one thing would typically be visibility, but the leading into like the last thing I wanted to bring up is that we have kind of a lot of utilities going through here. And so planting trees on top of utilities becomes a problem. The main thing that we have going on, and the last thing I wanted to bring up was that the main water line comes in essentially right through here and then comes down that existing drive lane entry point into the shopping center. There's a fire hydrant about right here in the middle of the proposed building. So what we have to do is route the water line. Do we have it currently shown around the building?
Yeah, you actually have to reroute the water and sewer.
The
There's a
water and
sewer
sewer.
Now that comes down behind the old bank. There's a fire hydrant right when you go in that entrance.
Can you step up
plaza.
to the mic, please?
Yep, sorry. So the existing, we're just. Gotta find it. Yeah. I gotta push it.
That's all.
Doesn't like. There we go. There it is. All right. So right now, the bank is in this area, right? The water and sewer, there's an easement to the town and county that comes through this area, turns and comes down. So there's a hydrant in this area and there's a manhole buried in here. And it comes out here. And then from this point, you can see it goes across the street. It picks up this plaza. It comes down here and feeds the fire service that goes in the back of this plaza. So we have to basically take this water and sewer line out and reroute it around the front. We've looked at the sewer and we have enough gradient to do it and get it to go this way. We did not, we'd have looked at actually running one or both through the site if we needed to. It doesn't appear that there's enough pitch in the sewer to make it go this way by gravity correctly. So the sewer kind of has to come around this way. We also asked both the town and Aqua where they would prefer to have it. And of course, both of them would like to have it out here on the road front, right, where they can get to it and not running through our site, which makes sense. And it's probably better for us long-term too, because it would have to come around our site all the way down into this area somewhere and then work its way back out. We wouldn't obviously want it under any of this that's going on. So we've asked Aqua, just kind of general questions at this point. We may have some of the horizontal separation requirement. We may have trouble getting that a little bit through here. There's some existing utility poles. There's signage out here. There's a lot going on right here. So we've asked Steve Drake and we're waiting for a response there. If there's something we could do, whether it's fused pipe or something like that, that gives us a little bit of relief on the 10-foot separation requirement that allows us to get them down here. But right now you can see we've got the sewer coming here and we have the water coming around as well. So that's the plan, is we have to basically pull a sewer pipe out and abandon it. We have to move the water pipe to get them both out here in the right of way and come around the site so that those easements can be abandoned. And then they'll have to take new easements. They should be able to keep it in the right of way for the most part here, but this easement is 40, I think, coming this way and maybe 30 going this way. And it's the old lateral into the bank is in there as well. So we have to relocate all of that and get that done as well.
So to come back to your question, I just wanted to point that out first because it's something I wanted to talk about. But it's one more reason that we don't have a lot of landscaping out on that frontage roads, because we're going to have so many utilities potentially going in that area, rerouting that sewer and water. So I wanted to bring that up, also answer your question. So.
I'm all set.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick up on the landscaping. This Cormac, can you put the landscape? Sure. Schematic up. Yeah, I totally understand the visibility, you want to be able to see the
Sure.
inventory and not having birds making nests over the inventory. So if it's lower lying stuff along this area, I'm fine with that, but. So I think this corner needs something,
Okay.
maybe even a raised bed of some sort.
Yep.
And I agree with Ashley, even if there's utilities running underneath it, you could put some low lying stuff
Sure.
along circle, right? Because there's just gonna be a guardrail, which. So I think that would be important. And, I was kind of looking at this plan with the access to the existing site that you're taking away and trying to figure out what would work. And I knew that there was going to be an issue with Circle Drive, whether or not that can be worked out. I don't know if this could go straight through when you put the parking for the, employees to the right of it,
Right.
so that access could be used for the mall
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can certainly take a look at
as an
that
option.
from an operational standpoint. We can circle back on that.
And then, do we need something in place for the two sites to be using each other's access? Would be some kind of an easement there, I would presume.
If there would be an easement, but I think there's gonna be an easement, but also we're combining with that site, which is now part of two tax sites.
They're gonna subdivide it.
Yes, we're going to have to go through a subdivision.
Subdivided, take it out, I've seen the
Process.
subdivision application already.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're gonna, anything that's off their site that they're using as an easement, we'd have to see.
Yeah, we have in the purchase sale agreement, we have all of the access as far as like the cross access points of getting to and from the CarMax through the adjacent shopping center. That language is all included in the purchase sale agreement of this site. And then it will further
If
be
they're access as
defined in
well.
the subdivision.
Yeah, but they're gonna actually have to be, once you finalize your site and where your easements are gonna be, they're gonna have to be recorded with the county clerk's office. Purchase and sale agreement may give you the ability or, to allow for the easements, but you're actually gonna have to show them and they'll have to be recorded and vetted before you finalize this.
Okay.
I mean, I love CarMax coming and I love the development, but at the same point, I'm not gonna sit here on the planning board and allow us to basically screw the people that come to the plaza and make it impossible or difficult for them to get to those stores. So we need to work out an arrangement that works for you and for the rest of the people that have been using that plaza for years.
Understood. We want the same thing. We don't want to come in and make life hard. We want to come make life better for you guys. So
And I assume the plaza owner wants the same thing.
exactly. Yep.
Are you gonna get into signage, that kind of thing?
If you have questions, I wasn't planning on doing too much on signage. We have
There
we'll
were a
propose
couple
one-
large ones that were I don't, temporary banners.
Yes, that's for and like a now open sign. That's the only
For
temp, the only temporary banner that's proposed is more like a now open sign. That would be on there for a month or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And if there's restrictions on that, we'll certainly adhere to all of those.
Steve, anything?
So Eric mentioned a hydrant's going to have to be removed and or probably relocated. We obviously want to make sure that works for the new construction, but doesn't, work to the detriment of the existing plaza. And we have something if necessary to serve the existing building. We talked a lot about the public access through the site, and we also need to make sure that the fire apparatus access is being met with the fire code. And I believe you're going to hear from the North Syracuse Fire Department this evening about
They're here
their
tonight, yeah.
operations. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Neil,
All set for now.
Mark,
I guess, some of this landscaping showing the right of way, I think we're gonna want to move that on to the private property. And I guess and I'll get you a full list of comments, but yeah, again, this parking, comes basically right up to the property line. And it forces the landscaping again out into the right of way. What's the purpose of the parking over here?
Honestly, just to meet the number of spaces required to operate the site. So the amount of customer and employees that we're expecting at any given time is based off of the models from the other 200 plus stores around the country. And we need a certain amount of parking for the public to ensure that there's enough parking on the property. And so with the odd configuration of this site and the amount of land available, that's kind of the configuration we came up with to add some additional parking over there.
All right, I guess, so the town doesn't have any prescribed parking requirements. I guess we'll just want to see some backup to, number of employees, number of expected customers, those types of things. Yeah, and I guess we're gonna have to work through these entrances. I mean, one thing we might, and again, so this parking through here, I mean, if that's coming right up directly to the property line, I guess I'd question the need for it. And again, so looking at the plaza and determining how much parking is really needed for the plaza, because that's seldom fully utilized.
are there any changes to the number of parking spots to the plaza once this is done?
Yes, and I can get those numbers to you. There is a little bit of a swap for the head-in parking that we're adding, but there is a net loss of parking on the remaining.
But which I think could be accommodated, because again, I don't think, from my experience going there, it's never full, the parking's never fully utilized.
I believe it's 25
agree.
spaces that
I
are being
agree.
lost.
As far as the access issue goes, I guess one thing that might be able to be a potential solution, I guess, is again, if you were to get rid of this parking here, and again, get us some green space and some landscaping in here, you know, you might be able to utilize this as an entrance here, and then take the entrance that's currently here and kind of comes out in an odd location, possibly move that down and align it with the drive aisle in front of the building. So now you've got 2 points of access into the site off of frontage, eliminating this. Again, part of the issue with this one to me is, again, where are vehicles stacking here, right? And you get a couple of vehicles in here, now you're starting to back them up across here. That prevents people from accessing the parking over here. You know, you can't get in through here. This here, it does, I don't know if that really shows it or not, but it doesn't, but you know, again, on Circle, we've got 4 lanes of traffic there where you're located here. That's in the area where where they're starting to force you over to the right, and it necks down to 1 lane before it hits the intersection at frontage down to the south there. So that's kind of, again, an awkward location to have, you know, people waiting to turn and get into the site here off the Circle. So I think that might be a potential solution if we look at that. I guess you're gonna put that up to the board's consideration. So I think there's some things we can work out here, but you know, and I would like to look at the stormwater. You know, make sure it meets the requirements. Obviously, there's some utility issues here. So you know, I think we got quite a bit of work to do on this, and obviously lighting plan, et cetera. So I hear higher levels at the display area. That starts to make me more nervous.
Right. Mr. Lenertz, did you want to address the board? Of course.
Good evening, Paul Leonard's representing the North Syracuse Fire Department. Our first concern is if there's only one way in and out of that plaza, which is obviously what you've been talking about a great deal tonight. There's an existing hydrant at that grade area. And if I was on my skis, I could grab the hydrant and then turn in and get in front of their building. But fire trucks don't slide well. So the turning radius going in there and then making that curve back at the other entrance. The one
Dark
down,
gray one.
yeah, right here. There's a existing hydrant right here. So the fire department would come in here, stop, grab the fire hydrant, and then try and make this hard turn to come around to get to the building. And that will be difficult for our fire apparatus. It would be, I have the turning radius information for them if they could use this to.
I think you would have a path to come in this entrance. This is where their trucks come in. You can come down through here, pick it up there, and then go straight through.
If there's no snow there, if there's not a truck there, you know, there's all kinds of issues with it. It may be viable. Those are my only concerns with this.
Okay. Yeah, if you could leave them with them,
Thank
the
you.
turn radius. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can accommodate some, maybe just increasing that turning radius there. I think it's some green space there, so I think we got a little
It
extra
looks like there's room there.
room to work with there, yeah. So, yeah, and then another, just kind of as a last discussion topic on that entrance, if we wanted to look at the Circle Drive just being a right in, right out only, if that would be an option to have that, it would reduce the stacking back there and really give you,
Those turn into illegal.
They don't work.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, people are gonna be driving, coming in, they're gonna make a left-hand turn because they came from South Bay.
Right, okay. And I mean, there's ways to kind of force it as a right in, right out by putting like a raised curb kind of.
They don't.
Okay.
See it every day.
Looks great on paper.
Okay.
What if that entrance was moved to the west a bit? For Circle Drive? Up along where the new parking is.
Yeah. Yep.
You looked at that. We'll have to work through that one.
Okay.
Anything else from you?
I think that's everything I had, unless there's any questions.
Any other questions, comments?
So
All right.
So
well, we
Mr.
appreciate-
Pierce will do his review and get you a letter and
Okay.
take it from there.
All right. I appreciate everyone's time tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night. Next item on the agenda is a sketch plan review for proposed new equipment dealership on Eastman Road. What'd you just hear?
Yeah, Scott Freeman, Keplinger Freeman Associates, and with me is Adam Clark. I thought before we got into the new equipment facility, I think it'd be beneficial. Yeah. To talk a little bit about.
Where's
what he
your orange
does,
wig?
What he does and where he
In
does.
real
it.
life, I'm a little quieter. So, we buy, rent and sell construction equipment. We genuinely buy and sell it all over the world. I was just in Germany buying machines. I've way outgrown my current facility. I'd like to hire another 10, 15 people, add another 20 acres. And I think this particular location is just about as good as you get for what I do. Milton Cat's on one corner, Monroe Tractors on another corner, Lanco, Zapala, R&B Fabrication, LTS are down Eastman Road. So there's a lot of, heavy industry type people right in the neighborhood. You can't get any closer to the 481 on-ramp, off-ramp. I'm excited and just that's where we are.
Let's go.
And I got my son here. He's mad at me. But I said he's got to learn young. That's what my dad did to me. He dragged me off to work on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's what I'm doing to him.
Well, welcome.
So, thank you.
Make sure you approve the building now because it's gonna be here sometime.
Guess I'll take you through the numbers. It's a 10,800 square foot building, fronting Northern Boulevard, office space to the right. And what do you got? You got four two-way bays in and out, in the middle, and then some one-way entrance bays on the end. Adam's got 15 employees. We got 30 parking spaces. The access coming south, Northern Boulevard is one way. We do have right in, right out, but that's the name of the game, don't go north.
Right.
That's how that's gonna work. And then Eastman Road, we're a good 200 feet away from the intersection. We'd push it over further, but that red line is a floodplain, so we're gonna totally avoid that, stay away from that. To the east is a residence that recently sold. It's a flag lot with a pond, so Adam was sensitive. We have over 100 feet of green space between the property line and the northeastern corner of the site. Based on location of existing sanitary lines and Adam's minimal use, there's a couple of bathrooms in there. I don't know how many bathrooms you got in there, Adam, but it's, 4 bathrooms. So our engineer did some infiltration perk tests up there. The soils were extremely well draining, and we have our septic field, the Onondaga County Health Department's looking over our submission right now. It's cost effective and small footprint, and it's actually the high point of the whole the whole site. Low point of the site is all the way at the bottom, the intersection of Eastman and Northern Boulevard. There's a pipe that goes under Eastman to the south. So groundwater's high, soils are tight there. So that's a wet pond. So that's going to have standing water in it. I was talking to Adam about it. I don't know if you can see it going down Northern Boulevard. There's three little rectangular spaces. Those would be, the car dealers do these, and just, be the boulder display for Adam's equipment. One thing to point out with Adam's equipment, he is selling new equipment and highly maintained used equipment. This isn't going to be 20-year-old excavators that are rotting. It's not going to be a junkyard. It's not going to be a pick and pull. It's high quality equipment. So that's what's going to happen. And if I'm sure Adam would welcome a visit to his current facility. This facility is not going to look like that, if you don't mind me saying that. But the equipment that he has over there, I don't know, son, I think you're lucky. My dad didn't, he did piping and stuff. He didn't have big trucks. I'd love to go hang out there all summer. So that's from 10,000 feet. That's what's going on with the building. We got the parking, utilities. I talked about the storm, talked about the sanitary, the water, 42-inch main on Northern Boulevard. We're not going to tap into that. So we're working with Aqua to tap in. There's an 8-inch on Eastman Road. So we got to work with our engineer, figure out how we're going to do an RPZ, however we're going to get that pumped up. There's 2 hydrants on Eastman Road on the south side. So we got to work. We're going to contact the fire department and figure out what we need. There'll be a water line proposed water line going to the building for domestic, and we'll do what we have to do for fire protection. I would imagine the fire department would probably want to have one hydrant, probably, within 30-40 feet of the building, and Adams understands that's going to happen. Yeah, access, we're really wanted to, the whole purpose of our submission here was to obviously to get you guys familiar with it, but we want to get the clock starting with county, because I can't start the first domino, which is egress off of Northern and off of Eastman. So we get the county comments back, then we can work with, Fenskin and all those guys and work the egress. And then Mark, we did a, I'd say an 85-90% job on the SWIP. It still needs a little bit of work. When we make rounds, the planting plan is not done yet. I talked to Adam. If there's 15 trees on there, I said, I think we got to have at least 30. So they'll be on there. We want it to look nice. We're not just trying to skim this through. I guess to get the clock started, we just wanted to get it as much done as possible. And we started with the engineering, and we didn't quite finish all the details, but the pond, we're going to put an aerator in it. And like I said, we're going to add more plants to it. And, if there's any specific comments, and Adam also pointed out residential area to the east, the upper corner, you could see we have a double row of evergreens, and he asked me to add more. So we're going to, now that all the leaves are off the trees, when he bought this site in the summer, I couldn't see the residential properties. Now that the leaves are off, I'm going to take a walk this weekend, and I'll take pictures of view of the houses from the site, and we'll add more plants in those locations. This is going to be a very good place to sell equipment. So we're looking to do a good job. And then I guess we got 3 S's. I got the seeker process. So you really can't start that. I would imagine that's a question, I guess. That would start when we once we get the county comments? Is that when that would start? Ballpark?
Council? From us?
Okay, so I just wanted to get that in the books. And then subdivision, there are 2 parcels in the middle of the site. They're this, Steve and I spoke about it briefly. They're the same zone. So we got a proposal from CT Mail to combine those parcels into one. And then the third S is site plan. So we understand, we're going to get county comments. We're going to address the driveways, and we'll, a month from now, we'll have a much tighter set of drawings. So I just wanted to put forth our best first step, and maybe go right to the planting. Yeah, that is the planting plan. You can kind of see there's not many trees on it. so
You knew we were gonna say it.
yeah, but we wanted to look nice. We just didn't get there, but
Yeah.
we wanted to look nice. And one of the concepts I wanted to share with you is that because it's a natural native site, we don't want to plant the whole thing with grass in it and mow it all the time. He's not a lawn maintenance. He sells equipment. So we're going to do like wildflower mix, grass on the on the inward part of the site, and there will be some grass along the entrance and around the edge of the parking lot, but the design intent is not to create acres and acres of lawn. So once we disturb it, we'll have a lawn area along the entrance drive, so we can mow up one side down the other, and then we want to naturalize it, that type of thing. And in the SWIP, there's the maintenance requirements, a lot of wet ponds. The nice ones are the ones that people come back and mow them once a year. There's a lot of them you drive around town and you don't even know where they are. So, but the point of this facility is for the whole, not for the trucks only to look good, but the site as well. So that's where we are.
I've got somebody that knows how to run a lawnmower already.
Right.
Mr. Duval, any questions?
Yeah, the drainage. You had the retention pond by Eastman.
Yeah.
The thought is that everything's gonna drain into that.
Yeah, the low point of the site is the lowest point on the site is a pipe that right at the intersection of Northern and Eastman. And that's the low point. And it also, we're gonna have our work cut out with us with the county. There's somewhat of a drainage swell along Northern Boulevard. So what we're gonna have to do is build up a little bit of our grade to keep the shoulder water going down Northern to the pipes at the intersection. And then once we build up that berm a little bit, then we're going to contain our water on site. We can't have our site go into the drainage way. And that's, the county is they will look at our SWIP pretty closely, and I'm sure Mark will too. So it was a tight site, but the building is a lot higher than the pond. The site flows north to south. So we started with the hardest thing, making the drainage work. Probably needs a few tweaks, but it
It's
works.
kind of wet in there.
It is, yeah.
That's all I have for right now.
Mr. Abbey,
Nice to see you back so soon.
Yeah, no, it's just good projects. It's nice to.
Could you give us a kind of a synopsis on fencing and lighting?
Oh, lighting, we did work with Dick Cunningham, and you got the building, and then you have the solid hatch, that's asphalt pavement, and then asphalt pavement goes all the way down to Eastman. The stipple is gravel pavement, but for cost and for storing larger construction equipment, we didn't want to put asphalt everywhere. Every paved area will be illuminated, and at the next meeting, I think we submitted a lighting plan, but it'll be dark sky compliant, and all the light we're lighting the drive, the perimeter of the parking area, and with big equipment, we don't want to have any double lights in the middle of our parking lot. So there'll be wall packs on the perimeter of the building, and then there'll be the parking lot and entrances will be lit at a higher level, and then the road going in, we have 2 or 3 poles. We're not trying to make this look like Driver Village and light up the whole sky, but we do and will have lighting in the parking lot. And I do have a quick question for Adam. I don't think we discussed this. What's your thoughts on security? Are we fencing, or are you gonna go with cameras and lights?
Cameras. I've never had anything stolen other than fuel.
Okay.
I mean, you can't really steal these machines without a really big truck.
Yeah.
No,
Driving down a highway.
Don't you?
yeah, I mean, it does happen, but I really only had fuel stolen off of my particular site, and I'd rather have trees, like natural screening and boulders, like landscaping that looks nice versus I don't think chain link fence is very attractive. So, that was like the idea behind, you can kind of see the little things that stick out, like, see that little rectangle near the pond? Like, I was thinking, I wanted to put, like those big limestone boulders that you can get out of the quarry. Have like a machine coming out on the pond with the boulders around it.
Yeah, right, at the display area.
We're selling a dream. Like, these guys, like, they're not Ferraris and Corvettes, but the guys that buy these things, they get just so excited about them. So we want to make it look really cool. I haven't seen any of the drawings from Milton Pat across the street. I'm sure they're gonna do something really nice too. But, you wanna sell the dream as well as the machine.
Adam, were we doing gates or no gates?
Yes, Gates.
Okay, so we're gonna have a gate at each entrance.
Bottom one sliding across, and then I think the top one They wanted the swingers.
Yeah, because there's a grade change coming off the highway that we're gonna have to work on with the county.
You could see swingers on the top one where kind of like.
Yeah.
That's like a bar gate.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just to keep like people from driving in around the equipment at night, you know, because. Yeah. You
Will you-
just want to keep people away from it.
Will you be carrying a Caterpillar too?
Huh?
Will you be carrying Caterpillar?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will. So we're. Yeah. So that irritates the guys across the street. But
It's free enterprise.
yeah.
But you may go over there and buy something, drive it across the highway, you know, your place.
If we had time to talk, I could tell you something, but I don't want to say. I would if they would let me. But I'll just leave it at that. So. Their facility, I'm sure, is much larger. But they're similar businesses, but different business models. So.
Maybe servicing many of the equipments there or offsite.
Not really. So the Milton Cap model is like a lot of parts, a lot of service. It's impossible to find a mechanic. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, auto, agriculture, big truck, dozers. So I don't really like service work. Like I haven't figured out how to make money on it. So I don't really do it. Like my own equipment will fix. But for the most part, unless you're like a really good customer in a pinch, like we don't advertise like service. Just because it gets messy, like parts. It's like, you know, how do you keep track of nuts and bolts and filters? And I mean, I don't even do service and I probably have a wall of filters that nobody knows what they fit to. You know, yeah, it has never intrigued me. It's too hard. I'm not set up for it.
Okay.
So,
Well, I wish you luck and that's all I have for now.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Snyder.
Well, I wish you would have, back in May, you know, brought it forward, you know, I sat and watched them, you know, delimb the place, take the trees down, go through the mud. And I was, you know, as a planning board member, I was waiting for the document to drop on Steve's desk, but it didn't drop, so it became, once we finally realized that it was Clarkey that was coming and that he wanted to be in that site, it was great. I don't think at this point I mean, you didn't show where you're gonna have your septic system.
It's actually in the upper left. It just says septic field. we didn't submit the
Little
septic.
tiny square, is
It
that?
actually works. It actually, you know, it's being reviewed by the county. The soils was crazy. There was a nice sandy spot up there and then down low it was mud and water.
Perk test worked
It
good.
was
Yeah, they were great.
because I wanted to do it myself. I'd never developed anything. I was excited that I bought it. I called up a contractor. He said, you gotta cut the trees now before the bats come in.
Yep.
He was available. I was like, all right, let's cut the trees. And then the paperwork and the SWIPs and this and that. And after a couple of months of me not having enough time to run my own business, let alone develop a lot, I hired Mark from, what's
Westlake, Mark Shattuck.
Westlake Development.
He's doing the well
I
now.
said, I can't do this, and he's got this engineer, that architect, lighting experts. Oh,
He made 10 new friends.
It's involved.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're, you know, again, as we said to our last applicant, we're glad you're thinking about Cicero. We're glad you're coming.
Thank you.
I'm sure we as a board will do whatever we can do. Our engineer is excellent. He will tell you what's missing or what needs to be added. He won't add any frills. That's what Ashley and I do. We add the frills.
That's all right.
She likes trees.
Right.
I've
Trees.
become known for it.
Well, and then within the next month, I don't know what your Holmes King calc list is. Jeff Taw will have the building elevation developed a little more. I think we submitted something quick. But
Yeah, it looks really nice. So he's put color on it, and I was like really happy. So
did we have that submitted? Was that in?
Is that the color of the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. If the,
The other thing I just need to say is closing. I think you all have got a record for the largest size drawings that have ever been in front of this board. At least I know since I've been on, I had to literally look at the drawings on my king size bed because my dining room table wouldn't hold them.
I
So
guess
if that's,
I can issue half scale plans for the board review. It's just when we do construction, when you have match lines, the contractors just, the mistakes go up.
can't handle it.
It's a unique site. It's a big site and. We're selfishly as designers, we like to see the whole thing. But if we can, we'll see what we can do to.
They work,
that.
right?
Yep, they work.
Mr. Bloss.
I get a very important question. Are you gonna have a studio in this building so we can come and watch them film you?
You know what? Surprisingly enough, like, I think I might. It's, well,
Why not?
why not?
Got everything right there.
We looked at doing mailed flyers and I was like, a television campaign is 30 grand. And mailing flyers to 3,500 people is 18. It's like not as expensive as you would think. And like, I don't think like the amount of plays our television ads get, it's just incredible. Like I was sitting with a customer today and he was asking about that. And like a 30-second spot on Spectrum is like $1.50. So, and I mean, I know when I turn on the TV, we watch Spectrum and we see the weather on the 9s or weather on the 10s or whatever it is. And yeah, so the climate control is, we tried to do a couple shoots outside and with the wind and the the sun and stuff, it didn't work. And I have actually been thinking about that because presenting the machines is really important. And then we've got a couple technologies that nobody else has. If you actually go to the Clark website and see the machines, we've got a new software where you can like spin the machine around. So you can see it's like 360-degree angle. There's like a local company called, it used to be Spin 360. It's called Impal. Automotive guys are using it and RV guys are using it, but not so much. I think I might be the only one in construction using it. And then they've also got like we've got a tripod camera you put on the seat. And I have no idea how it works, but it takes like a picture of like all around the operator's cabin. So to have like the controlled environment is actually something that I've been thinking about more and more, because if you have it on a rainy day or it's snowy or muddy or whatever, you don't want those pictures on the internet and you have to remember, oh wait, that one there, we took pictures of it when it was like 6 feet of snow. It's summertime, nobody wants to buy a machine that's buried in a snowbank. So surprisingly, yes, we've actually considered that. Because it's so important now.
Yeah.
All levels of employee are hard to find. Mechanics are difficult, salesmen are difficult. So he actually doesn't have the drawings for the footprint for an automatic wash pad for machines, like in these, like the machines, they get covered in mud. And when I was in Germany, I saw this, it's almost like a car wash for full-size machines. And you drive across the grates, it's got blasters that come up out of the bottom, come off the sides. It knocks off 90% of the mud, it goes down to the bottom. Conveyor belt takes it over to a side, puts it in a containment unit, recycles the water, and like 99% of the water gets recycled in this closed loop system. And it's just so hard to find anybody to fix a machine, sell a machine, wash a machine. You got to try and work around that. I mean, I would love to employ as many people as like I could, but if any of you guys are small businessmen or even big businessmen, automation is the way to go. So, and marketing through television, internet, as many different ways as you can. So, I'd like to think we're kind of cutting edge, even though we're small. So, getting bigger.
Some of us are retired and like to play.
Come on down. Unfortunately, like my best employees are like 70. It's terrible. It's like, oh,
We can beat that.
so,
Anything else?
I'm all set.
Mrs. Hogan?
Oh, no, I was just gonna touch base on the amount of employees. So this is only these improvements are only gonna increase by like 10 to 15 people, you said, and it's
Yeah.
because of the technology
yeah,
that you're bringing in. Okay,
we run like 12 to 15 right now. I'd like to add, like, try and double the size of the workforce.
okay. And then in terms of, was there a dumpster on your plan? Like where the,
That's a good,
I
yeah,
don't think so.
I don't think we
because it
picked-
didn't have the wash pad. The wash pad, I thought I got you guys the engineered drawings for it.
yeah, well, we'll definitely have one of those. So,
It's recycled water.
you saw,
Can't, like, I don't know as much as this guy does,
Yeah.
or him, or probably you guys, but you can't just have like the water go on the ground anymore.
Right.
There's like this, it's actually like a bacteria that eats the grease and the oil. And it cleans the water to supposedly drinking level, but I wouldn't drink it. So that's what they claim. That's what the engineers claim. It cleans it so it's, they didn't have to drink.
so we gotta add just a garbage
square.
dumpster and wait and put a fence around it. Yeah, with a couple of gates on it, put some plants around it. We'll put that on somewhere on the left, on the west side off keep the display to the east. So we'll get that.
I like your picture and your modern look of everything. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you guys understand that we like trees. I've kind of kicked it up a notch and like specifically like native trees because they're the ones that last. So if you could, when you're doing your research about what trees to plant, if you could just kind of take note of that. But I like it. I'm excited to see what the next step is. Thank you.
Yeah, so I have nothing further, although we're very grateful that you're looking at the town of Cicero and looking forward. We appreciate your coming in early with this
Yes.
information and it helps the process work along and I'm looking forward to as we move along with.
Yeah, we don't like surprises and I'm sure you don't either. So we just wanted to get it all out there and get your comments. So we're moving efficiently for Adam.
And we're live on TV, so for $150, Steve?
Not much now. Scott alluded to it, and we've talked a little bit about it. We're obviously gonna be working with them to make sure all, fire code requirements are met relative to the site. And again, I don't know if Paul has some comments or there's anything he wants to say.
I'll check on. Thank you. Neil, anything?
Not at this time.
Mark?
No, obviously we'll do a review. I guess the only question I'd ask is if the board, Scott did allude to them. But we've got these two display areas here, which are, looks like they're right up to the property line. And I guess I'm just wondering if the board wants any sort of step back from the property line for those display areas, or if you're happy with them in those locations.
I want to see him.
Look,
Well, we're gonna be working with the county, so I'm sure the county's gonna weigh in.
it looks like there's room to back them up a bit.
Yeah, I can move, yeah, I can move that. I can go 5-10 feet off the property line. I mean, I know when you talk to DOT, you know what a DFO is, deadly fixed objects. I'm looking around, where's the DFO?
Those be raised areas like.
Yeah, so it's like Driver's Village has them, so
Yeah.
they pile up the boulders and they take the most expensive 150 truck that you'd never dream of buying and put it up on a stack of rocks.
It's more impressive.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's it for now. Again,
that's a
The rest of it
that's a
we'll
good
go
point,
back
Mark. I'd move them back.
Yeah, I agree.
Leave them on the drawing so the county can have something.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right.
They're good. We get along with them. They get in the drainage swell and the right of way work. That's gonna be a little bit of work with them, but I think the driveways are in the right places.
From a standpoint of construction. Clarky wants to start as soon as he can.
It's entirely up to Mark and the engineers, like, I would have started last spring. Except you spoiled. He got mad at me. Just kidding. Yeah, I would have stuck, but I don't know how long it takes. I'm in construction. I just know how to sell machines.
Probably is. It'd be spring at this point.
Yeah.
Probably got.
So I know that like everything is behind on like lead times, parts, pieces, doors. You know, it's just, you order, like, I'm pretty sure you order these buildings, right? Isn't that what they said? Yeah, you call the building manufacturer that does the structural steel, and I mean, it's just a pain right now, but yes, I would like to get moving along but it won't happen as fast as I would like.
We built the highway garage during the winter, so it can be done.
We need quick approval stuff.
Well, we got work to do too, so it's. we
Prob-
got- we
probably
gotta do our
spring.
homework. We have to catch up.
Paul, did you want to address the board on this project?
Be more than willing to be able to go over it.
Yeah. love to. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get you a package. Meet you on site.
The only concern we have is the same as we had with Milton Cat, the limited amount of water. That hydrant that they're referencing has 900 gallons a minute in it 4 years ago. So if that pipe is degraded and there's less of a fire flow at that hydrant, and they're 1,000 feet from the road, from
Yeah.
Eastman,
Yeah, we'll,
500 feet,
we'll want.
it's gonna be
Our
it'll be an
MVP is
issue.
gonna want an updated flow test, if we
Yeah.
can coordinate that.
Yeah, so you can work with Paul as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out, Paul. Anything else?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. So that concludes our agenda items. Any discussion, any questions, comments from the team?
I don't have anything.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second,
Second.
meeting's adjourned. Good night, everybody.